Yesterday, my video on the Anglican priestess processing in with priests in front of the bishops in Brazil and processing up to the altar to receive communion. It got a lot of discussion, and the nuncio has issued a letter that they'll be investigating this liturgical problem, clarifying it, liturgical abuse. Guys, are you blind? Are you blind? The priests had no problem with it. The bishops had no problem with it. Is anybody asking the questions here? For a church that calls the Mass blasphemous fables and dangerous deceits. But it didn't stop there. Turns out we have this in Ireland as well. And a few people contacted me to say, Robert, I saw your video about the Anglican priestess. Well, this happened in Ireland in such and such a diocese on such and such a date at such and such an event where an Anglican priestess in Ireland walked up and dipped the Eucharist into the chalice to receive communion. And in another diocese where Anglican ministers also receive communion directly from a bishop. Now, to avoid the nuncio here in Ireland getting a million emails, and for the various bishops to get emails, because I have emails, people reporting it to me, but I don't have videos or anything like that. And on the off chance that this is just misunderstanding, let's say it that way. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And the off chance is just misunderstanding. Can I ask the question, what are we doing? What are we doing in the church? What is the Mass? When I looked at the priest going up to procession yesterday, and some of them had Adidas sneakers on, others had Nike sneakers on, some couldn't even bother to wear pants. They had obviously the elbow over. A barrage of different stoles and different colours and so forth. You know, it was like casual Saturday or casual Sunday. Have you ever seen an Orthodox or Romanian Orthodox or an Orthodox procession of priests? At least they make an effort to show, okay, look, we're going to participate in something sacred. We're going to put the effort of putting on an alb, preparing ourselves. You know, they talk about those rigid, mentally imbalanced, traditional Latin Mass priests. You know, we've had, good 11 years of traditional priests being kind of bashed. But I give one thing to traditional priests. At least they know how to put on a pair of shoes for Mass. Usually, just okay, I'm preparing for something that is sacred. What have we lost in the Catholic Church? When in Second Vatican II they introduced or reintroduced into the Roman Rite concelebration, I can assure you they didn't envisage what we have ended up doing. And then who believes? Do we believe? So when Anglican ministers, plural, in various Irish dioceses turn up at different ecumenical events where there's a Catholic Mass and they receive communion, do we believe or do they believe? Who has lost the faith here in this situation, guys? I'm putting it on the record. I've known for a few years about one event because a priest told me. I said, Association of Catholic Priests, liberal. What is there to say? Guys, the faithful see this. The faithful see what's going on in the church. And when a priest can't be bothered to be another alter Christus, another Christ at Mass. Because I tell you, Christ didn't turn up dirty, shabby, with patchworked. Christ was well dressed. His clothes were washed. He was well presented. You know why? Because he had a mother and she made sure. People forget to think about this. Christ was poor, but he wasn't destitute and he wasn't shabby. We could learn a lesson from Christ. Because today, in the way we are heading, is this sacred moment, this Eucharist. We after 60 years, after Sacrosanctum Concilium, we have completely destroyed Vatican II's vision for what the Mass, reform of the Mass should be. Completely and utterly destroyed it. We give the Eucharist to anybody that wants it. Is this the way we're going? Protestant comes up who calls the Mass, this is in the articles, in the Church of England's articles, blasphemous fables and dangerous deceits. We give them communion. We don't make an effort. Let's get through this 45 minutes. We have to get through it on a Sunday. Rush out the Eucharist. How many Eucharistic ministers do we need? How many times have I done videos about priests who can't be bothered to give out the Eucharist? That's another thing. Can't be bothered to be ministers of the Eucharist. Bishops that can't be bothered to be ministers of the Eucharist sometimes. And I ask the question, guys, where are we going in the church on this? It's not just like I see new chasubles being put out now for the year of this jubilee. With this new logo that was designed by the gay massage therapist. The people saying, "Oh, it's the four corners of the world" and so forth. That's fine, but can we not get some art, some Christian art, some beautiful Christian that identifies with our faith? Like. What are we doing? What are we doing? I'm sorry if this sounds like a rant, but what happened in Brazil is happening in Ireland. And as one priest said to me, my bishop, he knows the bishop of the Church of Ireland, his counterpart in the Church of Ireland, better than he knows his own parish priests. Yeah, I'll meet with them and do this video, and we'll be together and we'll do this announcement and we'll be at this event, and my calendar is such a I'll be meeting them like 14 to 20 times a year. Great. We finally got some good ecumenical dialogue after years of killing each other here in Ireland. I understand, but we have gone from one extreme in Ireland to another extreme in Ireland, and we're forgetting, guys, we need to preach and teach the faith. The Eucharist is sacred. The Mass should be sacred. You should prepare for it. And you walk in, I see the priest walking in. How are you? Oh, hello. Great to see you. Shake your hands. Great, we're here for the Mass. Great to see you. Gone are the days a priest would walk in for Mass and be recollected with his hands closed and his eyes down, recollected for the mystery that he's going to celebrate. Hello, great to see you. I'm asking you to reflect here. When go and study that document, Sacrosanctum Concilium, because they were discussing concelebration, and they proposed some masses with concelebration, and I tell you, none of them reflect on what actually ended up happening 60 years later. And then we come up, oh, there's a crisis in the faith. Oh, nobody believes. The young people, how do we interact with young people? What other profession has dumbed down their practice so much? If a doctor came in half dirty, dishevelled, ill prepared, and he's there, well, are you sick? Oh, are you sick? Oh, sorry. Well, sure. We'll just take an aspirin, and we'll come back tomorrow. And do we get what's going on here? Either the sacrifice, the Mass, is a sacrifice and it's sacred, and we prepare for it and we catechize for it, or stop saying it. Stop saying it. This is for a message for the universal church. Don't come at us that there's a crisis in the faith. Do you believe yourselves, pastors of the church? And there is a priest in the church. In the Divine Mercy Mission, Father Foster. People don't like his messages. But maybe Christ is actually asking the pastors of the church to wake up. What is your mission? What is the purpose of a chasuble? What should it symbolize, represent? It should be drawing us into the mystery. What is the purpose of a chalice, of an altar, of a sanctuary lamp, of chant? Outward signs of inward graces. Do you believe? And then, if people saw that the hierarchy believed, that their priest believed, and it's not just outward saying I believe, show it to us. Prepare for Mass. I'll say it because, if you, to be clear, when in the Vatican, when you were there with the Pope, if you're saying Mass with the Pope, or serving the Pope, which I did, and they would bring you into the Vatican a couple of hours in advance, and they would go through the motions of saying what was going to happen with the Pope. Okay, this is what actually happened. If you want to know what happens when you serve Mass with the Pope, you're brought in, you're told what's going to happen, what you have to do, where you have to be. It was an important preparation. It wasn't like you're serving Mass with the Pope. Well, yeah, sure. Mass starts at 11. Should you be there at 10:50? Is that okay? And sure, that we'll just, you'll be fine. You just no, it doesn't work that way. And the Mass that the Pope has said is no less important than the Mass that the parish priest says. Just because he's the Pope, the sacrifice in that altar is as important as what's happening in the parish. Well, make it as sacred as what's happening in the parish. Prepare for it. Stop this race to destroy the sacred in your vestments. Every reiteration of vestments I see in Ireland is has nothing to do, no connection whatsoever with the Roman Rite. I see what you're putting on it. We're experts in destroying our own heritage. In the cathedral where we have here, the tabernacle was chucked out. The candles were chucked out. Little note, little thing to note. If a bishop in his own cathedral has an altar, and on that altar there should be 7 candles, not 6, 7, a cross. The 7 candle represents the fact that this is the place where the bishop says Mass. Our local cathedral can't even bother to put a cross on the altar. It certainly can't be bothered to put anything beyond 2 candles. Oh, but these symbols, but they don't mean anything. Why we don't need 7 candles? You go to Mullingar Cathedral, and on their altar they have 7 candles and a cross. Now they have them behind the altar, but they're there. It's quite obvious. 7 candles. Pope Benedict or the Pope celebrate Mass, there was 7 candles usually. I could go on, and people say, "Oh, you're looking at these little things and this thing, and you're focusing on the details and stuff like that." It's come to because people don't care about the rite, the details. It's noted. Do clergy care about what they're actually doing in the church? The sacrifice, the holy sacrifice of the Mass. I was once on a meeting in London, and there was an exhibition at the Victoria and Albert Museum beside the Brompton Oratory, and there was an exhibition about pre-Reformation Catholicism. They had an altar dressed as it was pre-Reformation, with an actual missal from pre-Reformation England. And the altar was dressed beautifully with this cloth around it, beautiful missal, sacred. You know, in a time when a lot less resources, they were able to actually show us that there was something sacred happening there. We have all the resources now, and yet we are experts at destroying the faith in the church. These symbols matter. You know, how you prepare for Mass matters. Your chasuble matters. It says a lot. And while some people think, oh, we shouldn't focus on these, well, really, then don't come at the traditional priest for saying you're rigid and you've got mental problems or something like this. This is the new thing that keeps traipsed out, and your lace, you're too focused on your lace and you're too focused on this and stuff. Please. Yeah. It gives you food for thought. Gives you food for thought. Like, where are we going? Where's the faith going? Either it's a sacred rite, or it's just a performance that needs to be carried out, and we'll just spend money on. Hopefully, people will realize that we lost a lot with this bad implementation of Vatican II. We lost a lot of the sacred. It disconnects the Roman Rite from what went before it, and it disconnects the Roman Rite from other rites in the church. It really does. Go and dig out a video of seeing Orthodox priests concelebrating. They're not sitting up there in the altar. How many times I've seen priests concelebrating like this? You're bored. With a stole. Just standing there, like come on, guy, man, come on. You're another Christ. You're an alter Christus. Man up. Like, really, put an effort into it. Anyway, this rant went on a little bit longer. Well, maybe it'll wake people up. Maybe it will wake people up. I don't remember John Paul II just casually preparing for Mass. He was, even preparing for Mass, you couldn't talk. It was silent. You just stood there with the Pope, and he would get prepared and put the pallium on, and he would process in. It was reverent. If the Pope is setting an example, it should be an example for the universal church. What is the Roman Rite anymore? Ask yourself. Look around Ireland in your cathedrals. Today we have a new diocese now at Conry, which is behind my house. The Diocese of Conry is literally 5 minutes behind my house. That's where that diocese starts. Conry and Elphin now are going to merge under one bishop. And hopefully this will help renew the church. The reforms in the church in Ireland can't come fast enough. But guys, could we do a little bit better when it comes to the sacred rite of the Mass? It doesn't have to be dumbed down. The worst looking candles, the altars. When I see the altars, a modern altar when I see what they put their money in the church, these things, what is going on? The fact that you don't need them. The old altar was perfectly fine, And then we say there's a crisis in the faith. People don't believe. Till we show that what we are doing, we actually believe in a sacred rite. Sacrifice the Mass. Or have we become more Protestant than the Protestants themselves in our attitude to what is happening in the Mass? Really? We fought for centuries, celebrated on Mass rocks around Ireland. And what are we doing today with it? God bless you. Take care. Bye bye.